Hello beginners, welcome to your week 4 at Precise Pilates online with me, Lou. We're going to finish up our sheet 2 recap. So we're going to start in our standing warm up with the feet hip width. Look down and align your second toe to your knees and your hip bones. Keep the knees soft and take a nice soft breath in to float the sternum. Relaxing through the shoulders. On the exhale, connect to that 1-inch band of muscle which fits around the hip bones. So as you exhale, you're going to zipper into your skinny denim jeans from pubic bone to belly button. And then on the exhale, flatten those abdominals, doing that button on up. So we're really concentrating on keeping these abdominals drawn nice and strong across the hip bones. Once you've got your connection, you can have your hands on your hips or by your side. Take a soft breath in. Remember, keep the sternum up. We're going to go into a squat. So bending at the knees, pushing the bum back and down. We're going to come into the squat position, hands on the hips if it helps. And then you're going to push against the ground to bring yourself on upright. Lift yourself tall through the spine and then float 1 foot from the mat. Good, place the foot down. Inhale, push the bum back and down, bend through the knees. Push away from the ground, exhale, come on up. Take a nice soft breath in. Exhale, lift the foot. Good, place the foot down. Inhale into the squat. And exhale to push on upright. You can go straight into your foot lift with that exhale if you're able to. We're squatting. Lifting 1 foot from the mat, into standing balance, squat, and lift foot. Alternating sides. So you'll see here as I bring myself on upright, floating the sternum, I transfer the weight on over, lift the foot from the mat. My hip, my knee, and my foot are still in a strong alignment in my standing balance. Place the weight of the foot down. And continue to the other side. Good, let's make 2 more on each side. Squatting on down, pushing the bum back and down. So you'll notice I'm not arching through that lumbar spine. I'm gently drawing the spine down into this position in neutral posture. Pushing on upright, keeping the sternum floated. Lifting 1 foot. Good, make this your last one. Come back to the mat with both feet. Let's start rolling. So relax the shoulders, keep the sternum floated, soft knees. Take your soft breath in, inflating through the lungs. Dropping the chin to the chest first to open up the back of your neck. Exhale, sink your ribs towards your hip bones. Now as you exhale, let your head travel in front of the belt line. Arms loose from the armpit joint, head heavy from the neck. Sink and start to open up your back 1 vertebrae at a time, rounding yourself forwards and down. Take a nice soft breath in at the bottom. Keep the knees bent if you need to. Pushing through the ground, exhale to scoop through the abdominals. Start to realign by stacking yourself on upright tall, 1 piece of the spine at a time, floating the sternum and the chin at the top. Inhale, relax through the shoulders, chin to chest. Exhale, sink the ribs towards the hips. Feel the band of muscle switch on a little bit stronger. Sink the body forwards and down, opening up through the spine, 1 vertebrae at a time. Arms nice and loose, head heavy from the neck. Exhale, forwards and down, opening and rounding. Keep the knees soft. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale to push. Scoop out that bowl of abdominals as you roll yourself on upright. Continue rolling. Now if you find that you can have slightly straighter legs, or you prefer slightly straighter legs when you're rolling, you can do so here. We want to make sure that we're rolling open through the back, slowly awakening the spine 1 vertebrae at a time. So you may find that as you warm up through the back, your roll down becomes a lot longer on that exhale. It's a deep mobilization or opening of the lower back. And so we want to move very cautiously through the lumbar spine. So if you find that your lower back's quite tight and it's flattening out as you roll, you're getting to this position and you can't roll anymore, just stop here, let the head go loose, take a breath in, and just shorten your range of motion. Let's make 2 more. Chin to chest, exhale, sink and roll. Now I'm really concentrating on keeping myself from pushing my bum behind me. I want to roll forwards and down, not into that squat position. I'm moving my back. At the bottom, I'm taking the time to breathe on into the lungs, and then I'm using the abdominals to bring myself on up. Let's make this our final one. Chin to chest, exhale, sink and roll. Now we're going to stay at the bottom of this roll now. So as we roll open through the spine, rolling the head and the fingers towards the mat, hold here, take a nice soft breath in. Good. We're going to bend at the knees, bring the hands to the mat. Then on the exhale, still scoot the abdominals as we walk the hands forwards onto a plank of wood. And we bring the knees down softly into our 4-point kneeling position. Take a nice soft breath in, draw the buttocks back towards the heels. Resting down in your child's pose, reach your fingertips forwards. Drop your head forwards from the neck. Relax the forehead down and have a nice little stretch here. In your active child pose, nice rounding open of the back. Deep breath in and out as you breathe here. You can soften and let go of the T-zone and just have a nice gentle release into your back before we move on. Have one last breath in and out here. Let's soften at the elbows by bending, dragging the hands back to face height, pushing yourself on off the mat, and then coming down onto your buttocks. And we'll transition onto our back to start to warm up those abdominals a little bit more. So as we come down to lay on our back, if you need to pop something underneath your head, it might be a towel or a pillow, just to take some pressure off of the cervical spine. By all means, do that here. You want to make sure that you've got a nice long neck. The shoulders are not lifting into those earlobes. The shoulders are relaxed. Hands are resting by your side. You're coming back to think about your second toe, your knee, and your hip alignment in your supine position. And you've got a little space between your knees. Good, let's switch on here. You can have your hands in your bowl of abdominals. Your hands will be 1 inch inside those hip bones and 1 inch lower than your belt line. So we're in that deep shelf of soft abdominals. You can have one hand in your lower back to check your neutral spine too if you'd like. You should be able to fit your fingers, possibly your palm in your lower back. We're going to take our soft breath in, place the short straw between our lips, and inhale to lift the pelvic floor. Now it's that squeeze of front and back passage, and on the exhale, come back to thinking about zipping into your skinny denim jeans, flattening the abdominals, not the lower back into that palm underneath you, but the abdominals from hip bone to buckle up tight. Now that you've got your T-zone connection secured, let's work into leg slides. Keep the shoulders relaxed, and on the exhale, we'll slide one leg on out, feeling the way through the heel along the mat. Inhale, slide the leg back on in. Place the weight of the foot down and transition over. Exhale, leg slide. And inhale, slide back on in. Now your leg slides, you're alternating through the legs here. We're keeping the pelvis level across the hip bones. The lower back in neutral. The ribs softly lowered and the shoulders relaxed. We're going for 10 reps of our leg slide on each side. But if you find you lose your connection at any point, you can come back, switch off, relax, and switch back on with conscious effort connecting to those internal abdominals before you continue on. Good, let's make one more on each side. Exhale, leg slide. Inhale, slide the leg on in. Your last one, leg slide. And inhale, place the weight of the foot down. Have a little break if you need to. We're going to go into lift foot next. Relax the shoulders, switch back on, inhale pelvic floor, exhale abdominals flattening from hip bone to hip bone. On the exhale, the abdominals are lifting the weight of the foot from the mat, knee lifting above the hip bone into our single leg tabletop. Then we place the foot down, inhale, change sides. Exhale, the abdominals lift the weight of the foot from the mat. Inhale, place the foot down, changing sides. Have your hands in your T-zone. Check that as you exhale, your abdominals are flattening to lift the weight of the leg from the mat. You shouldn't feel your abdominals jumping forwards, anticipating that lift. If so, you're trying too hard, you've lost a bit of your T-zone, and you want to come back to the mat, switch off and reset before you continue this exercise. Again, you're working for your 10 repetitions of each of these exercises on the mat. Now, for those of you that are feeling particularly strong in this exercise, we'll make one more on each side. We're going to transition straight into the next one without switching on and off again. So we're going to exhale, lift foot, keeping our connection to T-zone. We're going to extend the leg from hip to toe first, and then exhale to lower. Now you can align the thighs or drop the leg slightly lower like I am, hopefully holding onto your T-zone connection and your neutral spine. Inhale, bend the knee over hip. Place the foot down. Exhale, lift foot. Extend from hip to toe. Exhale to lower. Good, inhale to bend the knee, place the foot down, change sides. So if you've still got your connection, you'll be making sure you're breathing, you're holding strong your pelvic floor as well as those deepest transverse abdominals. You're back in neutral and you're working with conscious effort past the 10 reps now. So now your connection's a little bit stronger. You can add on a little bit more endurance through time. If you find you lose your connection, you've lost that sensation of flattening abdominals, you want to come back to the mat and reset. Good. Run your hands onto the rib cage as well as you exhale to lift the foot and extend. Exhaling to lower. You want to sink the ribs in and down and check the oblique line from rib to hip at front of the body is switching on to help you hold neutral spine as you lower that long leg extended. Good. Let's make 2 more on each side for lift and extend. Relaxing through the shoulders and the neck. Our last one here, exhale to lift. Extend first and then exhale to lower. Good, place the foot back to tabletop, knee over hip. Place the foot down and then switch off for your rest. Beautiful. Last of our warm-up exercises is your arm prep. Relax the arms by the side. And remember, the shoulders begin nowhere near the earlobes. We want to make sure our neck is nice and long here. Hands are by your side. Let's take the time to switch back on. Inhale, pelvic floor. Exhale, T-zone. We're nice and strong, neutral spine. We're going to float the arms directly over the chest, making sure the shoulders are not lifting into the earlobes. We're going to exhale as we reach overhead. Now sink your rib cage in and down as you exhale overhead. The shoulders gliding down your back. Inhale, hands over chest. Check the shoulders are away from the ears. Exhale to reach overhead, sink the ribs in and down. Shoulders glide down your mat. Inhale, hands over chest, maybe down towards the hip bones. This time you exhale, reach on up, over the chest. Exhale to reach overhead, sink the ribs in and down, shoulders down your back. Good, inhale, hands over chest, down towards your hip bones. Exhale up and over, sink that rib cage in and down. Now you're protecting your upper back from going into extension by utilizing those obliques. So if you need to at any point, you can continue on one-armed, and as you exhale to reach overhead, the ribs sink in and down, and your hand beneath that rib cage will find that oblique connection, and you can check each side if you need to. Good, let's make 2 more. Now this motion is not you trying to reach the carpet or mat behind you. That might not be within your shoulders mobility range, our last one. We're simply trying to connect to the obliques at the front of the body so we find a deeper connection into that neutral spine. Good, let's release the hands by our sides, switch off and take your break. Good job. Next exercise will be our ab curl one. So we're looking at flexion now. We're going to add in these larger group of muscles, our rectus abdominis. Those are the ab muscles that we can see and feel and touch. So we're going to bring our hands behind our head, elbows wide, chest is open. Now rest your thumbs either side of your spine at the very top of that spine where the skull sits on here. You want to have a little float of your head from the mat. So gently tuck your chin to the chest and lengthen the back of your head, your neck here, floating your hand in your head. Head in your hands even. Take a nice soft breath in to lift the pelvic floor, and on the exhale, flattening through the T-zone. The lumbar spine stays in neutral, and on the exhale, you're going to sink the ribs in and down, scooping the abdominals to peel the head and shoulders off. Look down at that flat abdominal connection, and notice that you're scooping out your bowl of abdominals. Good, inhale to lower the head and shoulders down. On the exhale, you curl, sink the ribs in and down, flattening those abdominals, and inhale to lower. Good, exhale to curl. Checking in with the lumbar spine, you're still within neutral, you're not flattening, tilting the pelvis back, lifting the buttocks off, any of those, no. We want to remain within neutral as much as possible, so it's the ribs towards the hips that scoop that bowl of abdominal out and allow you to peel your head further from the mat. You're keeping the length in the back of your neck, so try not to push your head forwards to get yourself further on up. You'll also be causing a lot of down pressure through the pelvic floor if you do that here, and tension through the neck. Good, we're working towards our 10. So let's have 3 more. Exhale to curl, sink the ribs in and down, scoop out those abdominals. Now if you find you're losing that connection, you're pushing the tummy forwards, you've fatigued and you need to take some time on out, switch off completely and rest on the mat. Good, your last one. Remembering chin is slightly tucked to chest, lengthen the back of the neck. Exhale to curl, sink the ribs in and down, scoop out the bowl of abdominals to peel the head and shoulders off. And then inhale to lower. Have a little rest here. So we're going to add on to that movement. We're going to add in internal rotation to get your obliques next. So the setup is the same. We still have the T-zone on in the neutral spine, which we'd like to maintain as much as possible. We're going to tuck the chin lightly to the chest, lengthen the back of the head, and float the skull in hands. Now on your exhale to curl, you sink the ribs in and down to scoop the abdominals to peel the head and shoulders off. You'll hold this rib to hip connection and scoop, and then you're going to rotate your armpit over to the opposite hip bone. My pelvis stays level, my spine in neutral, and I'm trying not to shift my hips or knees in this internal rotation. Inhale to unrotate and lower down. Changing sides, you exhale to curl, keep the length in the back of your neck. Rotate cross, armpit to the opposite hip bone. Inhale to unrotate and lower, going towards our 10 repetitions on each side. Continue on. Now the motion is not curl and lateral flexion. No, it's curl and internal rotation. So here you see I've rotated my armpit towards the opposite hip bone. I'm not laterally flexing side to side through the spine, so don't do that here. Equally, your knees and your feet stay aligned to the ceiling, so don't be tempted to turn them out to get that internal rotation here. It's an upper body draw down over it to hip on the exhale first, and then the rotation across. Keep your elbows quite wide. Don't let them start to wrap around your skull and cause tension in that neck. Let's make our final one on each side. Exhale to curl, sink the ribs in and down to scoop out that ball of abdominals first. Rotate across armpit to opposite hip bone. Inhale to unrotate and lower. Last one, come back to the mat, switch off and have a rest. Good. So you should be feeling these 10 repetitions if you're working within the neutral spine and you're working with conscious effort internally through the pelvic floor and that internal connection of T-zone. Let's take it into our pendulum next. So we're going to bring our feet together, big toe to heel, our knees together to zip up the shins, and then zipper up from knee to groin. Now we want to keep this inner thigh connection throughout the move. We want to keep a neutral spine. So once you've got your knees, your feet together, outstretch your arms wide, lower than your shoulders, palm facing up. No tension in the upper body. Now the upper body stays fixed and aligned to the ceiling. So just allow your gaze to fix on a point here. You're going to switch on to the T-zone. Inhale, pelvic floor. Exhale, T-zone here. Take a soft breath in and allow both legs to roll over one side of the body. Now you're disconnecting one hip, one glute, one foot. You're resting on the outside sole line of that bottom leg. You're going to squeeze your inner thighs. Exhale, scoop through T-zone. Return the legs back to center. Inhale the legs over one side of the body. Shoulders stay relaxed on the mat, upper body on the mat here. Squeeze, exhale, scoop, and return the legs to center. Now your aim is to keep the knees closed at all times. You're keeping the back within neutral, and you're utilizing a deep scoop of this bowl of abdominals to return the legs to center. Now you keep your upper body relaxed, the shoulders on the mat. If you go too far with lowering the legs over the side of the body, you'll notice that one shoulder will lift and you're going to lose that neutral spine connection, and you're going to promote a lot of tension in your shoulders and neck. So we're only going to take the legs as far over as we can keep the shoulders on the mat. Now your focus, as you inhale and let your legs roll over the left side of your body, place your right hand on your right rib cage. As you exhale, push your hand into your right ribs to sink them in and down. Scoop out the bowl of abdominals and feel that you've connected to the obliques on the side. Good. As you inhale, take the legs over to the right side. Place the left hand on the left rib cage. Exhale, push the hand into the rib. Sink the rib in and down. Scoop out the bowl of abdominals. Legs come back to center. Inhale the legs over. Opposite hand on the opposite rib cage. Exhale. Ribs sinking and down. Good. So as you work through your 10 reps here, your hand could also place within your waist from rib to hip, and you would feel those obliques. Now switching on as you scoop and squeeze the inner thighs to return the legs to center. Let's make this our last one. Keep the upper body on the mat, head aligned to the ceiling. Exhale, squeeze and scoop, sinking ribs into hips. Good. Once you return the legs to center, part the feet back to their hip width stance. Relax the arms by your side and have a little break. One last exercise in this position. We're going to do our 100th rep. So if you're comfortable keeping the hands on the mat, you can wander the hands down and lengthen through these arms here. I'm going to show you the 100th rep that we learned last week with the hands floating over the chest. Shoulders are relaxed. We're going to switch back onto T-zone. Inhale, pelvic floor. Exhale, transverse abdominal. Good. Then float the hands directly over the chest. Shoulders are not in the earlobes. Now as you exhale to curl, sink your chin lightly towards your chest. Sweep the hands towards the hip bones. Sweep the ribs towards the hips. Scoop out that bowl of abdominals. Peel your head and shoulders off the mat. Reach your arms past your hips. Good. Activate the arm. Inhale to lower the head and shoulders down. Hands to the ceiling. It's an exhale to curl. Sweep hands past the hip bones. Sweep the ribs towards the hips to scoop out your bowl of abdominals. Peeling head and shoulders off. Light tug of chin to chest. Inhale to lower head and shoulders down. It's an exhale to curl, and you're really using those long activated arms. Inhale to lower. Work towards your 10 reps. Chin lightly tucked to chest so that we're not straining the neck. If you need to, the hand can come behind the head to help lengthen the back of the neck, and we can support the weight of the skull and the neck here. We can alternate after a few reps if we choose. Good, let's make this our final 3 of our 100th prep. Now make sure that you're scooping out your bowl of abdominals, not flattening your lower back into the mat. Your knees stay aligned to the ceiling. We're really using neutral spine and abdominals here. Last one, exhale to curl. Sweep the ribs towards the hips, hands past the hip bones. Inhale to lower head and shoulders. Relax the arms by your side. Take a moment to switch off. Well done. So that's the full abdominal section from sheet 2. Good, in this position, we're going to roll onto our side and now look at our glute section. So if you'd like, your bottom arm could straighten out. You could place your ear on the inner forearm, or you could have your bicep hold with a bent elbow, or a towel or a pillow underneath the ear and your bicep in front, whichever feels better for you. The legs begin in 45 degrees. We're starting with clam 1. Now, with the legs in 45 from knee to hip, we want to make sure we roll the top hip towards the edge of the mat line. Hand on the top hip bone, take a breath in, and on the exhale, push the top hip bone down to lift your bottom waist. Now, with the bottom waist lifted between your ribs and your hips, if you poke your fingers in, you should feel your obliques on. Hand can remain on the top hip bone, so you keep it weighted down. Take a nice soft breath in, squeeze your heels, and if you run your hands along your belt line, you should be trying to actively flatten from hip bone to hip bone now. Exhale, open up your clam 1, keeping your top hip bone rotated forwards, and inhale to close. Squeeze the heels to activate the glute, exhale to open, and inhale to close. For clam 1, squeeze, exhale, open, inhale to close. Keep your thumb where it is, flip your hands around to the back. As you squeeze those heels, you should check you can find your glute medius. As you exhale, opening the clam, keep the top hip bone forward to keep the workload in that nice strong glute. Keep the top hip bone pushed down, squeeze, exhale, open, and inhale, close. Again, we're working towards our 10 repetitions. We're actively keeping a nice flattening sensation from hip bone to hip bone. And as long as the bottom waist is lifted, the pelvic floor remains on. Good, final 3. Squeeze, exhale, open, inhale, close. Good, 2, Lovely, final one. Good, have a little rest. If that means you sink your bottom waist into the mat, switch off here. We're going to add on to this and do our clown to leg extension. So again, set yourself up, bottom waist lifts, push the top hip bone down, roll the top hip bone towards the edge of the mat. So you're on your side, you're not opening this hip towards the ceiling. Now you start with your clown one. So squeeze those heels to flatten those abdominals. Then exhale, open up the clown. Now with your clown extension, keep your top hip bone forwards. And now extend the top leg from the hip at hip height. We're going to rotate the leg down at the hip joint itself. Then bring the heels back together, give them a squeeze and close. Squeeze, exhale, open, clown. Extend the leg, inhale, making sure we rotate it down from the hip joint. Exhale, bring the heels back together, top knee is high, inhale to close. Squeeze, exhale, open, inhale, lengthen, turn it down from the hip. Exhale, soles together, knee high, inhale, close. Good, squeeze, exhale, open. Extend, inhale, turn it down. Exhale, heels come back together, knee high, and close, inhale. Good. Lovely. So we're working for 10 in our clown to leg extension. Don't forget the turn down of the leg completely from the hip joint as you extend the leg at hip height. When you come back to the clown, you press the heels together and you close. Good. Final 4. 3. Excellent work. 2, this one's a strong one. Last one, extend, making sure you turn it down from the hip joint. Bring the heels back together, close and switch off. Good. Clown 2 is next, we're getting all the clowns in. So remember, bottom waist needs to be lifted. We want to make sure we're flattening those abdominals from hip bone to hip bone. Now for this clown variation, the knees remain in 45, the feet float from the mat at hip height. Heels aligned to your sit bones is a good way to gauge if you're in the right spot. You squeeze your heels, remembering you're flattening those abdominals, and then you exhale, open up your clown, top hip bone stays forwards, inhale to close. Squeeze the heels, exhale to open, and inhale to close. Bottom waist must remain off the mat to keep the pelvic floor active and safe. Good. Excellent. Now the squeeze of the heel switches on that bottom leg glute minimus. We still have medius working on the top leg. And now I can really feel that bottom glute really switching on to support me. And that glute muscle, that glute minimus, the smallest, is really responsible in hip stability. Good. Final 3. Keep that bottom leg nice and still. Squeeze the heels, exhale to open. Inhale to close your final one. Keep that top hip bone forwards. Good. Rest the legs down and take your break. Woo, very, very strong. Excellent. We're going to go into straight leg raise. So we keep the bottom leg bent at 45. The top hip bone stays rotated forwards, the bottom waist lifted. From this position, we make sure that we're flattening the abdominals from hip bone to hip bone, and then we lengthen out the top leg. It comes to hip height in line with your body. Now, you can keep it here if you'd like to modify and make the exercise a little bit easier. I'm going to bring it halfway between my buttocks and my bottom kneecap. Floating halfway here, I'm going to rotate down from the hip joint. Then exhale, push the heel up and inhale to lower. Exhale, push the heel up, inhale to lower. Now as I exhale to push the heel up, I want to check that my bottom waist isn't dropping into the mat. I'm only pushing the heel up as high as I can keep my bottom waist lifted. That means my pelvic floor on, my flattening abdominals, and the leg long. So try and keep the leg long here, a little soft bend in the knee if you're a hyperextender. You're pushing the heel up, exhale, inhale to lower. Keep the turn down from the hip joint itself. 4 left. 3, 2. Now I want you to hold this back at hip height after the last one, hold it. Good, let's go into hot potato. We're going to sweep the leg forwards, aligning the 2 thigh bones. Good, exhale, tap, tap the toe. Good. Then sweep it back. Inhale. In line with your hip joint, squeeze your glute max. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap the toes twice. Inhale, sweep it forwards. Two thighs are aligning. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap the toe. Inhale, sweep it back, squeezing glute max. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. Good. Inhale, sweep forwards. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. Good. Inhale, sweep it back. Keeping the bottom waist up, squeeze the glute max. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. Good. Inhale, forwards. Exhale, half, half. This one's a hard one. Sweep it back. Inhale. Keeping the bottom waist lifted, squeezing your glute max. Exhale, half, half. Good. Inhale, forwards. Tap, tap. Inhale, back. Tap, tap. Last one. Inhale, forwards. Tap, tap. Good. And back. Tap, tap. Good. Have a little break. Bring the knees together. Rest in 45. Let's change sides. We'll repeat that. So push yourself on off. Changing on to the opposite side to continue your glute work. Now your what's now your bottom leg is quite tired. So we can expect the smaller muscles that we're recruiting in stability to fatigue a little bit quicker on that side. Legs come back to 45. Top hip rolls forwards towards the edge of the mat line. Top hand on the top hip bone, take a nice soft breath, and then on the exhale, push the top hip bone down to lift the bottom waist. Don't let this hip bone rotate back. Keep your top hip bone rolled forwards so you keep the workload in the glutes and the back of the hip joint rather than in the front and straining your oblique muscles here. We're going to keep the bottom waist recruited and on the exhale, squeeze the heels to flatten those abdominals for clam 1. Exhale, open up the clam, keep the top hip bone forwards, inhale to close. Squeeze, exhale, open, and inhale to close. Remember, don't let this hip bone rotate back. We want to keep it forwards, and this might mean that your range of motion in that front hip joint is a little bit smaller. Squeeze, making sure we're flattening those abdominals from hip bone to hip bone, keeping the bottom waist lifted. Now, as you squeeze the heels, remember you're connecting to glute medius on the top leg. So if you need to, with the hand on the top hip bone, keep the thumb where it is, flip the fingers around, and you should dig around squeezing the heels. Find the contraction of your glute medius first. Exhale, open up the clam. Find the workload. Good. Let's make this our final 3, 2, and 1. Rest the feet, the legs down, have a little break. Good. Clam extension. So remember, the bottom waist wants to stay up. We've lifted and recruited through the obliques. We're going to squeeze the heels, switch on those obliques, switch on those abdominals from hip bone to hip bone here. Sorry, there's a fly annoying me. Keeping the bottom leg bent, we're going to straighten out the, we're going into clam. We're going to squeeze the heels, keeping those abdominals nice and flat. So we exhale, open the clam first, keeping the top hip bone forwards, go away fly. Keep your clam open, extend your top leg at hip height here. Rotate the thigh down from the hip joint. Good, bring the heels back together and close. Squeeze your heels, exhale, open. Lengthen, inhale, turn it down from the hip joint. Good, bring the heels back together, knee high. Inhale to close. Squeeze, exhale, open. Inhale, lengthen, turn it down from the hip joint. Exhale, soles together, knee high. Inhale, close. Good, 6 more. Squeeze and extend, turn it down. Good, heels together and close. Exhale, open. Inhale, lengthen. Good, exhale, soles together. Inhale, close. Keep the bottom waist up, top hip forwards. Good. Lovely. Final 3. 2. Try to relax through the upper body here. Keep the workload in the glutes and these abdominals supporting. Last one. Good. Turn it down from the hip. Bring the heels back together, knee high. And close. Switch off and take your rest. Clam 2 is next. So make sure we keep our setup. Bottom waist lifted, top hip down, top hip forwards. Squeezing the heels to switch on that flattening from hip bone to hip bone. Float the feet from the mat at hip height with those heel bones. Good. Press the heels together. Exhale, open, clam 2. Top hip bone stays forwards. Inhale, close. Squeeze, exhale, open. Inhale, close. So the bottom leg will switch on glute minimus. And we want to keep the bottom leg nice and still to keep the workload going into the glute, as well as keeping the top hip bone forwards to keep the top leg working our glute minimus and medius. Medius being the main one that we've been working in the past 2 exercises. Really fatiguing into that glute medius now. Good. Final 4. Squeeze the heels, exhale, open, and inhale, close. Check your bottom waist is still up. That means pelvic floor is on. Still pushing the top hip bone down, flattening those abdominals. Your final one, squeeze, exhale, open, inhale, close, place the feet down, have a little break. Good. Last 2 exercises is straight leg raise and hot potato. So the bottom leg stays bent at 45. Hands on the top hip bone, push the top hip bone down, lifting the bottom waist. Rotate the top hip bone forwards. Flattening those abdominals from hip bone to hip bone. Extending the leg on out at hip height in line with you. Keep it here if you need to, just rotate the leg on down, or sweep the leg halfway between your buttocks line and your bottom knee. Now we keep the rotation of the whole leg down from the hip joint. We're going to exhale, push the heel on up, and inhale to lower. Push the heel up, exhale, and inhale to lower. Remembering the bottom waist stays lifted. So we don't take the leg as high as that, we move that top hip bone, and we drop the bottom waist. We want to keep that top hip bone rotated forwards. And we're working through the side of the thigh into the top of the hip pocket and the glute minimus medius as well. Exhale, push the heel up, inhale to lower. Good. 3 left. Exhale, push it up, inhale to lower. 2. Now on your last one, remember we're going to hold it at hip height. So hold it here, keep the turn down. We're going to sweep the leg forwards, inhale, the 2 thighs align. Exhale, half, half, tap the toes twice. Inhale, sweep it back. Coming in line with the hip bone, squeezing our glute max. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. Good. Inhale, sweep it forwards. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. Good. Inhale, sweep it back. The leg is at hip height and squeezing our glute max. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. Good. Inhale, sweep it forwards. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. Good. Inhale, sweep it back. Squeeze your glute max. Keep your top hip bone forwards. Half, half, tap, tap. Good. So your hot potato here, leg returns to hip height as you sweep the leg forwards and back. We want to keep our glute max working in this hip extension as the leg moves back. Half, half, tap, tap. Good. 2 more. Half, half, tap, tap. Good. Sweep it back. Half, half, tap, tap. 1 more. Inhale, sweep it forwards. Half, half, tap, tap. Inhale, sweep it back. Squeeze your glute max. Exhale, half, half, tap, tap. And bend the legs to 45 and have a rest. Good work. Let's finish with a little bit of our plank series. So we're going to roll onto our stomach. Let's warm up our upper back in our stop signs. So this is not on your sheet too, but I like to include it here because it will give you a nice grounding for your plank work and the upper body work that you need to support it here. The hands are at face height, elbows are bent. Head is resting completely onto the mat, or you could pop a towel or a pillow underneath the forehead here. Shoulders begin nowhere near those earlobes. Now we're not going to squeeze the bum for the next 2 exercises. We don't want to try and exacerbate these lumbar extensors. We want to try and locate those abdominals to support the neutral spine. So looking down into the mat with eyes and nose, let's take a nice soft breath in. Let's think about that lift of pelvic floor here, the squeeze of front and back passage. Now on the exhale, you're lifting the belly off the mat and drawing it inside the front of the pelvis. You haven't lifted your hips, but you should feel that you've got a nice lightness of your hip bones on the mat, or possibly a little pocket of air that you could run your fingers between your hips and the mat here, like I am. Now you want to keep that lift of abdominals, that nice light pelvis, as we work through our stop signs. So on the next exhale, we're going to glide the shoulder blades down our back, drawing into the waistline beneath the rib cage. elbows glide down to the waist, hands down the mat. Inhale, hands to face line. Exhale, glide the shoulder blades down your back, drawing into the waistline, beneath the rib cage. Elbows glide down to the sides. And inhale, hands just float back up. We're not shrugging shoulders into earlobes. Exhale, we glide on down through the shoulder blades. We want to connect through the middle fiber of the trapezius, that nice mid-deep center back connection that we're going to utilize in our plank positioning. Good, exhale, glide on down. And inhale, hands to face high. Beautiful. Keeping the abdominals lifted, the forehead can be completely resting down. If the neck strength allows it, the forehead might float. Let's make 3 more, really working on connecting to the mid-deep center back. Last one. Have a little rest, sink the abdominals forwards, soften through the pelvic floor, and now let's look at our swan prep. So again, the hands are at face height, elbows are bent. You could have a little extra space between your chest and your arms, if you'd like. Try not to have the arms really narrow, that will encourage a rounding forwards of your upper back, and we want to really utilize the upper back to come into extension. So I'm looking into that with eyes and nose. I'm going to take my soft breath in to lift my pelvic floor, and on my exhale, I'm lifting my abdominals off the mat. I'm drawing them inside the front of the pelvis, and again, I can feel that nice lightness of my hip bones, my 2 pockets of air beneath those bones on the mat. You want to look into the mat with eyes and nose, or down the tip of your nose at all times in this move. So on your next inward breath, we're going to start to roll a glass marble underneath your nose towards the edge of the mat line. Now, even if your forehead peels off, keep looking down the tip of your nose. On the exhale, as you glide the shoulder blades down your back, you're drawing into the waistline beneath the rib cage to gently peel your chest from the mat. Your arms are not pushing you up, so don't use those arms here. Then as you inhale, keeping those abdominals lifted, nice lightness of your hip bones on the mat, you bring your chest, your chin, your nose back to the mat here. On an exhale, we're going to roll that nose underneath our chin. We're going to round open the back of our neck, pop your forehead onto the mat if you'd like a big stretch, and release through the cervical spine. Making sure the abdominals are lifted. We start again. Inhale, roll the glass marble under the nose towards the edge of the mat line. Keep looking down the tip of the nose on the exhale as we glide the shoulder blades down the back. Good, now it's the upper back drawing down that promotes the chest to lift. Keep those abdominals working as you inhale, bring the chest back down to the mat. Touch your nose back on your glass marble, and then exhale, roll it underneath your chin and round open the back of your neck. This nice opening of cervical spine could be quite nice to hold for a few breaths if you'd like. Continue on making sure that you're not shrugging shoulders up. You're looking down the tip of your nose, and this draw down of your shoulders into your waistline beneath that rib cage peels the chest off the mat. Good, and then inhale, come back down. So if you're feeling it in your lumbar spine, in the deepest of the lower back, you are losing your connection to those abdominals. You're pushing the tummy forwards, and that's promoting your pelvis to tilt forwards and your tailbone to lift. If that's happening here, you want to not try so hard to get the chest off the mat. You want to draw down through the shoulders and just promote a little lift. It could be your collarbone. It could be your second, your third rib. Everybody's extension is different. Good, let's make this our last one for swan prep back extension. Really utilizing the deep mid-center back. Around the bra strap line is right about where you should be feeling that pivot point of extension. And then sink down through the chest. Keep the abdominals lifted, eyes and nose onto the mat. Then roll that marble underneath your chin with the tip of your nose. Round open the back of your neck. And then sink and rest everything to have time out. Good. So that back extension is what we're going to look at a little bit closer in our plank. Now in your plank 1 position, your back extension is probably at its largest because you're supporting the lift off the chest, off the mat with your arms. So bring your hands down to chest height, push yourself off the mat, and if you'd like, you can always rest in child's pose for a little break. Moving into your plank 1, you're going to be reading a book on the beach. So you're coming down onto your forearms. Now I like to have my forearms a little bit narrower than my shoulders, still as wide as my chest. My front portion of my my elbow, sorry, is just behind the front portion of my shoulder. It's not quite at 90 degrees, and it's definitely not larger than 90 degrees. It's probably about 80. And that's just so I can really promote a push of my chest off the mat. Now, as I push through my forearms, I also want to draw the shoulder blades down into stop sign. So I've really fixed the upper back and the chest to work. My neck is long and loose, so I'm not promoting tension here, but I do have a little bit of pressure in my lumbar spine building. So in order to switch that off, I need to switch on the T-zone. So I'm going to take a nice soft breath in and lift my pelvic floor, and I feel that I've lowered that pressure in my lumbar spine already. Now on the exhale, as I lift the abdominals internally inside the front of the pelvis, I'm not lifting my hip bones, but again, I'm looking for that draw, that little pocket of air to appear beneath both hip bones in the mat. Now, as I've lifted the abdominals internally, I've also softly drawn the tailbone down. I'm not squeezing my bum, but drawing the tailbone down promotes me to have a neutral spine. In this position, push off the forearms, draw the shoulder blades down, and you can count your 10 breaths. Just holding these abdominals from the mat, utilizing the upper body is quite a lot of work. So make sure that you count the breaths effectively. You're not struggling to breathe, you're not shaking, you're not pushing the tummy forwards and lifting the tailbone on up. We're keeping the abdominals drawn in, and we're able to count the 10 breaths. Now, once you count to your 10 breaths, by all means come down to rest. So you could sink the chest completely forwards, folding at the arms to rest your head down, and you can take time on out, releasing through the pelvic floor and the abdominals. And that could be you in your plank position. That could be what you repeat if you'd like to repeat that next, or you could try for your plank 2. Now, your plank 2 positioning requires you to have a good connection to the upper back. So if you find this quite hard in plank 1, stick with plank 1 and just work effectively in that position. For plank 2, I'm coming back to my plank 1, reading a book on the beach, and this is where I transition from. So shoulders draw down, push off the forearms. I'm going to inhale, lift the pelvic floor first, and then on the exhale, lift those abdominals off the mat, drawing them inside the front of the pelvis for my plank 1. I've got that nice lightness of my hip bones floating on the mat, and I can breathe quite easily. On my next exhale, I'm going to lift those abdominals a little bit deeper, and this promotes those 2 pockets of air to expand and push my hip bones off the mat. Now I'm pushing through my forearms and my chest to lift my hips roughly in line with my shoulders. Not higher, so my bum is not higher than my chest, but roughly in line. Now if I get to this point and I need to check, take a deep breath in. On the exhale, I could lift those abdominals, and you'll notice my tailbone softly lowers. I'll show you again. Take a nice deep breath in. Notice the lumbar spine arch in my back. And on the exhale, as I lift those abdominals, you'll notice my tailbone naturally drops. I'm in my neutral spine position. I've got a really strong connection to my abdominal line, and I'm breathing quite easily, drawing the shoulder blades down into stop sign, pushing off the chest, and working in plank 2. If I need to come back down, I can come back down. I want to make sure I keep those abdominals lifted. I'm not tempted to sag through the lower back or lift the hips higher, trying to get those abdominals in. No, keep the hips in line with the shoulders, lift the abdominals internally, and you'll see my little draw down of my tailbone or my butt wink. Hold for your 10 breaths, make sure you're able to breathe. If not, bring the hip bones back to the mat slowly. Keep the abdominals working. Draw down, draw the shoulders back into your plank 1, pushing off the forearms, and you can finish your 10 breaths here, or completely sink the chest forwards, folding at the arms and releasing completely into the mat. Good. So you could either count your 10 breaths in your plank 1, your plank 2, but make sure that you're able to work effectively in a neutral spine with the abdominals. That's the pelvic floor and that transverse band working quite strongly. Good, from this position, bring your hands to chest height. Push yourself off the mat, round your upper back. Draw your glutes back towards your heels. As you draw your bum back and down, reach your fingertips forwards. Drop your forehead to rest it on the mat. And have a nice active prayer stretch in this rounded back position. Reach the fingertips away on the inhale, and on the exhale, pull the bum back and down. Good, a deep breath in and out. Continue that nice stretch, opening up through the lats and allowing the upper back to round. Last breath in and out here. Let's soften at the elbows. Drag the hands back to face height. Have a little rest in your shell position. If you'd like a bigger rest, take more time here. Good. Lovely. Push off. Come to your box. So we're going to stretch our hip flexors. If you've never stretched your hip flexors before, this might be quite strong for you. You might need a balance aid. So you could grab a chair and place it by the side of the mat. I'm going to take you through the box position so that you get a nice positioning through the knee and the ankle rather than stressing either of those joints. So in your 4-point kneeling, we're going to draw the shoulder blades down, lengthen the back of the neck and switch on to the T-zone. Now we're going to bring one foot between the hands. We don't have to make this elegant, it never is. We bring one foot forwards and we're going to walk our toes forward so that they are in front of our fingers. And you'll notice that all my toes are in front of my fingertips here. On an exhale, flattening through the abdominals, I'm going to bring one hand onto the front of the thigh and push the opposite hand away to lift my chest on upright. Now that takes a lot of work, and if you need the balance aid, use your hand on the seat of the chair to push yourself on up. Now you'll notice that my ribs are directly over my hips, but my knee is behind my ankle and I've got a little incline. It's not at 90, it's probably just a little bit shy of. Now to stretch your hips, you might need to find your hips are its level position first. So your top hip, which would be your front leg, might be slightly higher and you need to drop it here. Notice that again, I drop my right hip and my belt line is parallel. Now it's the back leg front of the hip joint that you're stretching. So if I shuffle to the side, I can show you here. So keeping my hips level, remember you might need to drop the front leg. You are going to squeeze your glute max of the back leg. Now as you squeeze it here, you're going to draw the tailbone down. So you can use some pressure with your hands resting on that back posterior hip joint. Squeeze the glute max really strong and firm. Push the tailbone down and you'll start to feel the front of the hip joint opening here. And that could be where you remain for your 10 breaths. Breathing, keeping the chest upright with the sternum floating. If you'd like to progress it a little bit further, keeping the glute on and the tailbone down, you're gently going to bend through your front knee joint to align it over your ankle. Keep it at 90 degrees so we keep this movement quite safe within the knee joints range. Squeeze the back glute, draw the tailbone down. It's possible that you might move deeper into the knee range itself to get now into your groin as well as your hip flexor, but let's keep it in the hip flexor here. So squeezing, drawing the tailbone down, knee alignment over ankle at 90, keep the chest upright and breathe. It's quite strong work on the front of the hip joint. Adding on, you could even add your external hip rotator, so you could run your hand onto the inside of the front leg, manually push a little bit and draw the chest away, and then you'll get your sideways hip flexors. You keep your glutes squeezed, your tailbone down, so that you're really promoting hip extension and a little posterior pelvic tilt. You can breathe in and out, and when you want to come out of the stretch, you make sure your chest is back over your hips. You bring your weight back out of your front knee over the ankle, and you release your glute. Let's change sides. So, showing you from this angle, you can shuffle into your lunge position, walk your toes forwards. Your knee needs to be behind your ankle to begin with. So not at 90, more about 75, more about maybe 70, depends on what you'd like. Remember, you need to drop the top, front leg, top hip. If you're misaligned, I'm skewed. So make sure that I drop and align my hip line. Keeping the chest upright and the hips with the sternum floating. Hand on the back glute of that back leg. You want to squeeze your glute max, draw the tailbone down, and you notice I use a little bit of pressure through my hand to draw my tailbone down and to bring me into a small posterior pelvic tilt, and I'm opening through the front of the hip joint here, not just the thigh. So I've got a nice strong hip flexor stretch that I know is promoting hip extension at the front of the hip joint. Staying breathing here with the sternum floating could be where you remain for your 10 breaths. Otherwise, to make your stretch bigger, you could bring your front knee alignment over your ankle, keep the glute max squeezed, tailbone drawn down, and you get a nice long hip flexor stretch, working more of the psoas. You could bring the knee slightly further over the ankle to get the groin, but don't strain that joint. Keep it quite high up in the hip range. Keep the chest upright and breathe. Keep the back glute on. You don't want to lose that here. If you want your sideways hip flexors, run your hand onto the inside of that front leg. Push the chest gently away, rotating from the hips. Keep the glutes squeezed and tailbone down, and get a little bit of your sideways hip flexors if you like. Counting for your 10 breaths, make this your last one. Make sure your chest is aligned over your hips before you bring the weight back out of the front knee. And you can bring yourself back to the mat, back down to your child's pose, and you can rest here if you like. Beautiful work. Let's do a little shoulder stretch as well. So I'll finish with a nice shoulder stretch. In this position, you can either be seated, cross-legged, on your buttocks, however you wish. You want to make sure sternum is upright, chest is over hips, and you're sitting nice and tall. Take a nice soft breath in. We can lift pelvic floor in this position, and cross-legged is a nice way to find the activation too. And on the exhale, we're connecting to the T-zone line once more. Bring one arm to float directly in line with the chest, keeping the arm fairly straight. We're going to draw this straight arm over the body. Opposite palm comes in and draws this arm over. We want to make sure that we've relaxed through that shoulder. We're not lifting it up towards the ear. And we're allowing this long arm to start to open the posterior of the shoulder itself. So right here where the shoulder blade intersects into the back, we want that nice strong opening. If you're getting neck tension, drop your chin to your chest. Breathe in and out nice and deeply. Keep that shoulder relaxed. Count for your 5 to 10 breaths of your shoulder stretch. Deep breath in and out here. Last one. Good, let's relax it here. Take it to the other side. So keeping upright with the T-zone working, we can float the arm directly in line with the chest. Keeping the arm straight, we're going to fold it over the body. Opposite palm comes in and draws this arm towards you. You want to relax that shoulder. Take a deep breath in, drop chin to chest if it helps. And breathe into that nice opening of the shoulder. Good, breathe in and out deeply for 3, 2, last one. Good, gently release that arm, let it drop away. Well done, so you've finished your 4 weeks online. I hope you enjoyed these classes. If you need to get in contact with me or Minion and ask any questions, you can. Congratulations, have a good week. I'll see you soon, I hope.